between freezing and cutting. Now, the president is freezing. He now wants a 3-year freeze on some discretionary government spending. Gimmick or a solution? Well, let's ask Governor Tim Pawlenty of Minnesota, who joins us. Governor, I first must say my condolences to you and to your state for the Vikings' loss yesterday. It was close.
Well, we're in mourning here in Minnesota. Our beloved Vikings beat themselves, but hopefully number 4 will come back, and you and I can cheer him on again yet another year, Greta. Thanks for thinking of us, though.
Well, I actually think number 4 will be back, and and he'll dazzle the fans as he always does. All right, Governor. Now, you wrote an op-ed piece on January 11th in which you said it's not too late to turn things around. What do you mean? What would you do?
Well, Greta, the freeze that the president announced a day or so ago, or earlier today, leaked out, I guess, is kind of like somebody eating 3 Big Macs and then deciding they're going to control their weight by ordering a Diet Coke. It's an acknowledgement of the problem. It's at least a small step in the right direction. But for all the reasons you've been talking about, it's really not a freeze. So if you want to get this country back on track, focus on the economy, focus on jobs. Don't freeze spending, cut it. Don't raise taxes, cut them. Come back to the table, cut a bipartisan solution on health care that contains cost, doesn't just expand access, and then pass a constitutional amendment that forces the United States federal government to balance its budget with certain exceptions.
So, that's not going to happen. I mean, at least as far as we can see. We're not going to have this constitutional amendment, at least not in the near future. And we're going to have a freeze. We're not going to have a cut. So if you and I are talking a year from now, what's the conversation going to be? Where's the country been in a year?
Greta, for all the money that they've spent, the federal government, all sources, all revenues, takes in $2.2 trillion. If you add up the stimulus, the TARP, all the stuff they did through the Federal Reserve and monetary policy and the bailouts, they could have given all taxpayers from all taxes a 1-year tax holiday. They could have ignited the economy with a complete holiday on taxes. There's a lot of great ideas, but we got to be focused on jobs. I'll give you one. Don't discontinue the Bush tax cuts. In other words, allow the tax cuts to stay in place permanently. If you want to put money into people's pockets, you can do quick, simple things like cutting the payroll tax for employers and employees. Those are some easy things to do, but we also, in the long term, have got to get control of the spending. The United States federal government, mathematically, setting aside right or left, can't pay its bills. It's a matter of math.
Well, here's one of the growing problems, Governor, is that we have an unemployment rate of 10%. Actually, it's remarkably higher if you count the people who have just given up or who are looking for a job and have quit. They're so demoralized. Is that because the unemployment is so high, we don't have the tax revenue. And that, of course, creates entire problems on this government. And then we have the situation where we're spending the money, the stimulus bill. We still have, according to our numbers, the $787 billion that was that we intended to spend on stimulus in February of 2009. We have only spent $264 billion, which leaves $523 billion left. Would you stop this? Would you say that the stimulus program or the bill has failed? And would you say let's stop that one?
Yeah, it's not working. It's mostly sending money out to bureaucracies. It's not effective. They promised that if you pass the stimulus bill, we'd have unemployment at 8% or lower. It's up at 10%. I think most credible economists say it's not working. So we can redeploy that money by drawing down the deficits or through tax cuts, things that would more quickly and better ignite the economy. Remember, government doesn't create any wealth. It just extracts it from the private economy, brings it into a bureaucracy, makes political decisions, and send it back out. So the notion that government is going to create a new increment of wealth or economic activity is a flawed theory to begin with. And by the way, the spending issue is just so concerning. We have a website. It's called stopthespendingbidge.com. People can go on there and learn more about how to help this fight.
And you, of course, assign the responsibility for this growing debt to both the Republicans and the Democrats, right? You don't just assign it to this one administration.
Well, if you go back, the Obama administration and this Congress have exploded it exponentially. But if you go back over the recent decades, both parties have had a hand in getting us to this point. Again, Greta, they take in $2.2 trillion, all revenues, all sources. We've got a $12 trillion debt. We've got $65 trillion of unfunded liabilities from the federal government. Those unfunded liabilities grew just last year $8 trillion. That's obscene. It's reckless. It's irresponsible. And the United States federal government in the not-too-distant future is not going to be able to meet and pay for those obligations. I jokingly say, well, the most effective thing that we should do is once they reach the point of spending money they don't have each year, in other words, exceeding their revenues, they should circulate the rest of the spending in Chinese currency, because that's who's basically subsidizing and paying for so much of this debt. That would be a very dramatic lesson for our government officials and for our country about the dangers of what they're doing.
You know, it's remarkable how different the perspective is on the economic crisis between those who have served as governors, current or former, and even those who are in the Senate who are ex-governors, and the United States Senate. I mean, and the House. I mean, those people, they don't quite have the attention on meeting the bills every month. It's so different, isn't it?
Well, they play monopoly, many of them, and governors have to balance their budget. 49 of the 50 states have a balanced budget amendment. It's difficult. It leads to a lot of hard decisions, but every 2 years it gets done. And so our federal government could easily benefit from that. As you said, it may not happen in the near term, but these chickens are going to come home to roost. But we have to have people who take this seriously, Greta. We are putting our nation at great peril. This is not just about, being the green eye shade accountants for the Democrats. This literally puts the security of our nation at risk if they don't change what they're doing. And I give President Obama at least some credit, because the first step in the road to recovery is acknowledge the problem. And even though he's mostly dealing it with symbolically, at least he's not acknowledged the problem. So if he'd take the rest of these steps, we could make some real progress.
So is the freeze, though, is it a gimmick on the eve of the State of the Union, because he knows that all eyes are going to be on him tomorrow night, and as this unemployment rate has been nagging his administration, certainly nagging those who are unemployed? Is it a gimmick that it's simply a freeze, it's not a cut, it's not across the board, and that is not a solution to our problems?
It's not really a solution, but it is a small step. Look, they got their cans kicked in New Jersey, Virginia. They got embarrassed in Massachusetts in a stunning defeat. I'm sure his advisors are saying, my goodness, the country. Yeah, but they should be motivated by the fact they win or lose. I mean, this is it. I mean, I'm all for the whole idea of politics. It's fascinating, it's interesting, it's challenging, it's a little bit of a game, it's sort of like a sports. But this is a little different when we're talking about all the unemployed in the nation. And when you look at sort of the numbers statistically, is unemployment going down? Are people's standard of living going up? Is there housing sales? I mean, those are the things that that I would assume would be guiding many of our decisions and our strategy. Yes, but if he's been on the wrong course and he's willing to take a step back to the right course, that's at least one small step, Greta. So I don't want to rain all over his parade, but it clearly is mostly a gimmick. It's not going to fundamentally change the outlook. Like I said, we got to be talking about not freezing spending symbolically, cutting it, cutting taxes, not raising it, bipartisan health care reform, and get our spending house in order. You cannot meet $65 trillion of unfunded liabilities total on $2.2 trillion of revenue. It is a Ponzi scheme, Greta. It's going to come crashing down. We're going to have the federal government financial equivalent of the subprime mortgage crisis. It is going to be horrific for our country, and the jobs that we need to grow in this country are not going to be provided by things like cash for clunkers. They're going to be provided by giving the private economy, private sector, the encouragement, the incentives, and the lessening of burdens that they get to the point of saying, I'm willing to invest again.
Governor, thank you, sir.
You're welcome, Greta. Thank you.
We are live from Washington until 11 p.m. and next, the tape does not lie. What did then-candidate Obama say about spending freezes? Hustling your vote or a legitimate change of circumstances now? Well, you can decide in 2 minutes. Plus, Jon Stewart slams President Obama. Yes, that Jon Stewart. We have the video to prove it.
Since Arthur's been eating Purina One, he has blossomed into an incredibly strong, healthy cat. His coat is incredibly shiny and soft and very thick. Everybody thinks he's the most handsome cat they've ever seen.
Purina One for indoor cats unlocks the brilliance of nature with a natural fiber blend that helps minimize hairballs and maintain a healthy weight.
He's a character. He brings so much laughter into this household, and he's the best-looking cat there is.
It's amazing what one can do.
After the president's all-important State of the Union address, the GOP lays out their response, and only Fox covers it all, fair and balanced. Plus, Bret Baier and Team Washington have the most powerful analysis. Greta gets real insight from inside the Beltway, and Hannity has all the political fallout, only on America's election headquarters.
An accident doesn't have to slow you down. From new car replacement and guaranteed repairs to accident forgiveness, we do all we can to help you move on. Liberty Mutual Auto Insurance. Responsibility. What's your policy?
It's the dawning of a new day for American business.